on with us, which is not a great surprise. When things are going well, take that as a good sign. So directors in District Number 1, Director Luganville did email to let me know that he would not be able to attend the meeting this evening. So I told him I would ask that you excuse him when we get to that point on the agenda. Haley, I assume that Jeff is joining as well, or is it just going to be you this evening?
It's actually just gonna be me. Jeff had a conflict come up, so
Got it. But we still have some
A lot
people.
of pressure, Haley.
I know, be kind to me.
Well, we don't have Joan yet, Director Gonzalez. Oh, I say that, and then here she comes. So we do have Joan. I have quorums in both boards. I have 6 o'clock. Unless you tell me otherwise, I think we should go ahead and begin this meeting and see what we can do to get through at a reasonable hour. Directors, everything will be on the screen for you to see, and we'll keep everything relevant that way. Really, it's just the agenda that we're going to have on the screen this evening. We do have, as I mentioned, quorums in both boards, and directors, if there have been any conflicts, the attorneys will correct me if I'm wrong, but those conflicts have been filed with the Secretary of State at least 72 hours prior to the meeting as required. Looking at the agenda for tonight's meeting, are there any changes you'd like to see made to the agenda? And I will tell you that I'm going to skip over presentation of the financial statements this evening, and I just finished sending an email out to explain that to you, but Director Matches caught an error that I don't feel comfortable presenting the financials with that error in place. I wouldn't ask you to approve those financials. So we'll save the time. I'll get that corrected. We'll email those out, and at the next meeting, we'll have the correct financials for the prior month anyway, which will give us the year-to-date wrap-up information. Other than that, I've made no changes to the agenda. Are there any changes you'd like to see made, directors?
Yeah, I had a couple of changes that I was going to propose here. And these are just, there's a couple of items indicated on the agendas that say they're District 1 only discussions, and
yeah, those are District 1 only, Director Baum. The agenda we do pass through council, and so it's if District 2 would like to change the District 2 agenda, they may do so. But I would suggest that if there are questions on specific items that show as District 1 only, Joan would be the one who could opine for you on that. This was
with my
attorneys.
I understand that. The items I was going to propose, and I'll look for District 2 board members to correct me if I'm wrong in my recollection, is that director reports, so item 3C, item 6B would be correct. Nope, excuse me, that one's not one. And then communications officer, that would be item 7C, and director safeguards 7F. Those were all items from the last meeting that I noted as District 2 having a interest in participating in those discussions, but I'll look for D2 to motion if they would like to be added to those discussions.
Mitch, you can weigh in, but I don't believe District 2 directors want to address those items at this time.
I know for director matters, I don't have anything that I was planning on bringing up on that line item, and yeah, I'm fine with D1 doing the other items unless any of the other D2 directors feel like we need to have it on our agenda as well. I don't see a need to. at
I
this.
was gonna add one item, on the district directors. There's some information about D2, that's all. Under a
Okay,
minute
so-
and a half discussion.
So what I will do is change 3C to districts number 1 and 2 director reports, and we'll just open it up to any of the District 2 directors who would like to provide a report.
I'm good with that.
Hey, just a quick note, I've gotten 2 or 3 text messages that there's residents who can't get on, the link isn't working.
I don't know what to tell you, Director Baca, that the link is the same as you used to come in.
Let's see if I just want to see if we have we have other residents, okay.
Yeah, well, I thought we don't come through the link. We come through Zoom and put the meeting identification number in. I thought that was a change. Because you needed to have a Zoom account.
You know, we've changed that so you don't have to go through the Zoom account anymore, Director
okay.
Matches. That was something Zoom put in. You either have to do that or go through a waiting room. And so what I did is I changed that to create the waiting room. That's why you all stopped in there for just a moment before I moved you into this meeting.
And going back to Josh's, I know I would like to be a part of D2 Director Safeguards discussion. I think that that's something we should all be talking about. Just because it happened in District 1 last time doesn't mean it will happen in District 1 only. So I would like to, I think that should be a joint discussion. I don't know what it will entail, but I don't see why that wouldn't be for both districts. That's my 2 cents.
Joan, any objection to the District 2 board changing letter F to district number 1 and 2 under legal matters to have discussion of legal advice for director safeguards? I mean, the discussion's going to happen anyway. Jeff's going to present it either, or Haley's going to present it either way.
I'm not going to object.
Okay. Director Gonzalez, any concern from you then?
I'm fine with that.
Good enough. And any other changes? Let's get the meeting going before we start spending 30 minutes discussing agenda items, okay?
Yep.
Directors, with those 2 amendments and the amendment to remove the financials from this agenda, are there any other final amendments you'd like to make? If not, I could take a motion from D1 and a second from D1 to approve the agenda as presented and confirm location of the meeting, posting of the meeting notice, please.
So moved, D1.
Thank you. And a second, please.
I'll second. This is Christy.
Thank you very much. Are there any opposed in D1? Directors D2, same from you. If I could get a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any opposed? I will note, Director Baca, I just had another resident come on. Miss Young came on through the link, so it must be working all right. Anybody joining this evening who'd like to address the board during the public comments portion of the agenda, now would be your opportunity to do so. Please let me know.
Dave, before we move on, I'd like to motion to excuse Director Luganbell's absence.
Oh.
Thank you. I apologize. I did not have that included in that motion. Is there a second for that?
Jason.
Thank you. Any opposed to that? Thank you. Any public comments? Directors, I'm hearing no public comments. We'll move on then in your agenda. The next item we have under administrative matters is the minutes from the January 7th meeting. Were in your packet. If there are questions from either of the 2 districts, changes, corrections, deletions, please let me know. Otherwise, District 1, I could take a motion and a second from you to approve those.
I'll motion to approve the minutes from the January 6th regular meeting, District 1.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, directors. District 2, District 1, any opposed? District 2, is there a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Thank you, and a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Directors, District 2, any opposed? Director reports, District number 1, let's begin with you. Are there any director reports from District number 1?
I don't know if this is the correct place to put this, but I did have a discussion with Rich from Sal's Cleaning, and he was unaware that the clubhouse wasn't up to the cleaning that we had expected. And he sent me over a copy of the contract that he had with Oakwood, and it is only spot cleaning. And so I just want to ask, David, did anybody from the management team let Sal's Cleaning know that we're not satisfied with their cleaning?
I don't know the answer to that, Director Baca. I'd have to check with Charlie. I can see if I can send him a quick email or check with Travis.
Okay, that would be great. I just know that we've had a few discussions about it in the meeting, so I was pretty surprised to find out that they didn't know we were having issues.
That would be a little bit surprising to me, but I can send an email over to Travis real quick. I don't know if he'll get it since it's after hours.
Okay, thank you. If you'll just let me know.
I will follow up after the meeting either way and let you know. Any other directors in District number 1? Director reports. Directors in District number 2. Any director reports from you?
I just had a short comment, if I may.
Yes, sir.
All right, the status of the build out of District 2 is we're 77.5% built out. The last carriage home went into private residence ownership, so that's 156 of those. We have 247 residents in regular homes. The sales office makes it 248, and they're working on tearing the front steps off, making that entranceway back to a garage. And if they hold on to their tradition, the parking lot at 947 Highlands will also be turned into a house. If they turn that into a house, we'll have 405. And then when they complete the townhouses, we'll have 116 more, or 521 homes when this thing is all done. But we're 77.5% done. And I also checked on the house, the sales office, and the parking lot, and they've been paying taxes. So we are getting revenues from those spots. So I just want to let everybody know we're 77.5% done. Or built out. That's it.
Thank you, Director Matches. Directors, District 2, any other director reports? Directors, in your packet, you had the claims for District number 1 and District number 2 for January. District number 2, you did have that additional special claim request. And I know that there was a question about that. I responded to that question. Director Matches, I believe you were the one who asked that, and it had to do with the reason for that special request. Directors, that was the refund for carriage homes fees that were paid, the operations fee that was paid in error by those homeowners. If there are any questions on 1 or 2's claims, I'm happy to address them. And if not, District number 1, if there's a motion and a second from you to ratify approval, I could take that now, please.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second, please.
I can second, Jason.
Thank you. Are there any opposed? District number 2, if I could take a motion and a second from you, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, sir. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any opposed? Directors, as I mentioned, the financial statements are not in a presentable appearance this evening, so we're going to continue on and discuss and consider creation of the budget committee for both districts. This is something that came about. Director Mom had suggested this as a way to try to resolve any discrepancies between questions on the budget and what the budget actually says. And if there were needs to have budget amendments, this would all be done through that process. I believe that Director Mom, it's your intent to create the budget committee for that purpose and to have directors no more than 2 per district sit on that committee to try to address issues as they arise. Do I present that correctly, or would you like to present more information?
No, that's accurate. To add to that, like we could do it as, like to me, it feels like there should be a joint operations committee under the intergovernmental agreement that handles all budgeting for joint expenses of the district. I don't believe the current intergovernmental agreement or cost sharing agreement provides for a committee that does that. So whether that's creation of a separate committee or amending that cost sharing agreement to make sure we're clear on who that responsibility should be placed on, just something to formalize the process for 2 districts acting together to put together the budget and follow the cost sharing agreement.
So it's my understanding that the districts have had a joint budget committee for 2 years now, and maybe it wasn't formally organized the way the pool and landscaping committee were, but I would suggest formally putting maybe call it the budget and finance committee as a standing committee and include the 2 aspects, the IGA expenses and the budget preparation. Andy, do you have any comments on that?
I originally thought it was going to be the shared expenses, but I think you're talking overall budget to add that onto it.
Shared expenses and the budget preparation.
All right, yeah. No, I think coordination needs to be done in that area, yes. Definitely, particularly understanding what the shared costs are and how they may be prorated.
As Jerome kind of alluded to, and I know Andy and Keith and I kind of talked about it, we felt like this may have already existed and just not been formally documented,
Right.
as we have been working kind of on the side as a budgetary team. I know Tony, myself, Andy, Keith all worked on the previous budgets and with all the other chaos that was swirling. But I do agree, and I like Joan's idea of where it needs to be in that formalized state, but both the understanding shared expenses, but preparing and ensuring we have a budget understood and rationalized for 2027, 8, 9, and moving forward as a shared piece of exactly as you mentioned, Josh. So I guess the biggest question, Joe and I would have is, what legal magic words do we need to say to make that happen?
Well, I'll add to part of the amendment to the committee resolution that is under legal later in the packet. We did add the budget committee to the committee resolution. So that's kind of a formal step. And then probably a motion as well to appoint these members.
Got it. Yeah, I had missed that as part of that resolution. I think that's the way to do it, and it creates it. And then I think that committee should be charged with the development of the budget and then also looking at our cost sharing agreement to see if that's how we want to do things.
And I know in the past, and when I say in the past, prior to that situation last year, Director Manley, you served on the budget committee. Directors Kaufman and Matches from District 2 served on the budget committee. I don't know who else from District 1 was with you, though, Director Manley.
Tony. She was with me
Oh,
on
it
that one.
was Tony.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't know if you, at this point in the agenda, could make a motion to appoint the two directors from each district, and then we'll approve later on in the agenda under the legal matters, the actual formal creation within that resolution that Haley was mentioning.
I think that's a great idea. I'd be happy to motion for the kind of status quo of Jason and Tony to continue on that committee.
Thank you. I have that motion from Director Mom. Is there a second to that, please?
Can I second or?
Yes, you
Okay, I'll
certainly.
second.
If you would be good enough, you can. Any opposed? District number 2, are we going to have Director Matches and Director Kaufman willing to continue? And is there a motion and a second from the rest of the District 2 board?
I'll motion to continue with Director Matchis and Kaufman.
Thank you. And a second to that then, please.
I can second.
Thank you, Director Toma. Directors, any opposed? We're moving along well. Let's look at the pool and clubhouse matters, directors. I did send off to all of you earlier today the slide deck prepared by Director Manley and the rest of the pool and clubhouse committee. And that slide deck had a couple of different things, but before we even begin that discussion, let me give you an update. I've sent some emails today to give you where we were on the pool and clubhouse committee's charge, which included what we do with that pool. And as you know, last month you had approved a LiDAR survey of the pool so we could see what's going on underneath the concrete. And figure out the scope of work that can be done on the deck. Unfortunately, none of the contractors we've brought to the site yet are willing to offer proposals without seeing that engineer's report. I had mentioned to you the engineer would be able to do the LiDAR in March. We did have one contractor who came out a couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago and said, you know, actually, this is a reinforced 14-inch concrete. There's no reason why the pool needs to be holding water. It shouldn't collapse. And so that started us thinking. We contacted Not Laboratories. Not Laboratories said if the pool is in fact built the way this contractor says it's built, there's no reason we have to keep water in there. Unfortunately, we don't know how it was actually built. A plan set that we have does not show the reinforcement that Not Laboratories would be comfortable committing. Yes, then you're fine not having any water remain in the pool. The issue being we have outward pressure on the walls because of the water in the pool. If there is a freeze and there's groundwater outside the pool walls, then that freeze would expand that water and potentially cause damage to the walls. I do have the engineer saying he believes that you probably, and this is where Joan and Haley may be asked to provide some additional direction, but you can probably go ahead and take the water out and not have there be a problem. Now, the plan would be, as I explained to Director Matches and copied all of you, the plan at present would be we would try to find a period of time, roughly 72 hours, if possible, where we don't see a freeze, a hard freeze in the forecast. Julio would come out, would drain the pool completely, Not would do the LiDAR, and then Julio would refill the pool within 24 hours of that LiDAR being done. That would help save us a couple of months and help to identify whether or not we have problems that would prevent the pool from opening this year. I'll pause there and see if there are questions regarding that. Director Manley and Director Mom both have hands up. So, Director Manley.
Sure. So, one quick question, David. The engineering group that looked at the pool and things along those lines, um, the as-built are in the actual conference room. Did they go through that piece of it and review the documentation from the as-built?
Yeah, we took pictures of those and sent them over to Not Laboratories.
Okay. And then did that, so are you saying that that doesn't have the structural enforcement like listed in it, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Interesting. I figured that would have had the actual full design because it has most of the other pieces, but all right, I'm not at a spot where I can easily check and flip through. Okay.
Yeah, Charlie took photographs of the actual plan set and sent the plan set over to the engineer for them to look at the originals that way.
And then as far as the concern about shifting or anything along those lines, is this coming from concerns that are different than any of the previous settling and shifting that we've seen over the last 5 years that the pool has already been functioning with this, or is this new activity that is being noticed and brought to attention?
I don't believe that this is necessarily new activity, Director Manley, but we don't have a baseline to compare to see if this is new shifting or not. The issue is when you have a settling of even just an inch to an inch and a half, you have the possibility that you've sheared pipes underground, and so you've been pouring water into the ground during the course of that time. Without the ability to see what that result now looks like, you don't know if you have just a minor amount of water or if you have a sinkhole that's been created over that time. And so it does create a concern for the contractors. They're not willing to propose because they don't know if they're going to have a warranty problem within months of them installing a new deck or new coping.
My only concern with that is when we were going through the split from Oakwood, I did actually get bids though from like 2 different contractors that were willing to do the coping and replacing that side where it wasn't a concern on their end. So I guess I'm trying to understand what changed between then and now. It doesn't need to be a conversation for now, but I'm wondering if it might be behoove of the charge to take this on for the pool and landscaping committee as well, to have someone locally kind of work with the engineering teams and that piece. It's just that have that historical knowledge, can coordinate with your team with Julio and make sure that we're addressing it more at a holistic approach with both the past history of what's there, what we have been getting as we went through the split from Oakwood. We gathered all that data already, and that way it's not seeming like it's coming from a place of what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not even going to try and pretend the word I'm looking for. My brain went to the scatters, but I will shut up. I know Josh and Mitch and Tony have all raised their hands as well, so I'm going to go to the corner.
Director Manley, I think that horse has left the barn already. When we know there may be damage, I think we would need to make sure we have that engineering report before we do anything else. And of course, Haley, Joan, if you disagree with that, please correct me. Director Mom.
Yeah. So one of the things I think I'm having a hard time connecting the dots between is I think the LiDAR survey is going to show us kind of the current state of the pool so that these folks can provide appropriate bids for the project. I guess what I'm missing though is what's the connection between that and concerns about opening the pool this season? Because it's not going to give us any baseline of comparison. It's just going to say, this is where we're at today. So if it's not going to show us a change in settling, is it really a concern about opening the pool this year? Or is that just kind of are these separate topics or am I missing a connection between the two of those? That's the first question.
I think that they're connected, Director Mom. It's going to also show not just the settling or the condition of the soils, but it's going to show the condition of the plumbing around the pool. So if you have substantial broken lines around the pool, I think that you'll probably have an engineer tell you that it's not safe to open the pool.
Okay. It might totally be my misunderstanding, but like, I don't believe LiDAR can see subsurface, so it's only gonna give us surface information. But I'd be curious to find out when we get the report back if somehow that is able to provide us with subsurface information as well. The second question I have is more legal based. Is I think from my perspective, it makes sense to look at the forecast, pick a window to do this work, have Julio do it. But from a legal perspective, worst case happens, we drain the pool and, not because of frost, but some other damage happens to the pool. Can the lawyers just kind of give the directors a rundown of legal risk here with respect to taking this action without, potentially having insurance or other coverage in place?
So we know the pool's damaged. We don't know the extent of the damage. The engineering report, the LiDAR, is to help the district gather the information necessary to determine the level of damage. And frankly, before this, I don't think we were asking the right question. We were just focused on getting the cracks fixed and not the cause of the damage. From my perspective, I would assume that the concrete is not reinforced. This is Oakwood we're dealing with, so I think it's safe to assume it wasn't reinforced. So I think for the directors, it's a question of, do we take what appears to be a reasonable risk in draining the pool now for a few days, getting the testing done so that the boards can get some answers and move forward with getting estimates and timing and letting the community know as soon as possible if and when the pool is going to open. If the more conservative approach would be to wait another 6 or 8 weeks and do it then when the chance of frost and refreeze is significantly less. You're on mute.
Thank you. That's helpful. I think with the foresight of a good weather window, to me, it feels like more prudent to get ahead of the timing curve, but I think we all need to think through that risk you laid out. Thank you.
Director Gonzalez?
Yeah, I agree with Director Malm that I think it's definitely worth the risk of, taking advantage of a 72-hour window, especially with the weather that we've had recently. Seems like we're probably more likely to get a snowstorm in April than we are anytime in March. So so the LiDAR, I don't know much about these reports and everything. So it can see behind the pool walls and see if there's damage to the pipes. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct. LiDAR is the only way we can see what's in the soils and the ground surrounding the pool.
Yeah, because I think my concern is, let's say we push this off until April and we find out, maybe it's not like a huge repair that we need to have done, but, April and May is probably when a lot of repair companies need to go out and fix other pools. So could potentially delay it months from us being able to actually open the pool. Whereas if we can get ahead of it, then, maybe we'll still, if there's issues, be able to do the repairs and get the pool open, roughly around the time that we need to, if there are repairs that need to get done. I know, I guess my question would be, let's say, we didn't do the LiDAR and everything, and worst case scenario, one of these pipes do burst, afterwards, what kind of damage are we talking about to the pool? Just so we can understand the magnitude and how serious we need to take this. Are we talking, hey, it could be $100,000 fix, or are we saying, hey, this could be $500,000 or $1 million, and you might have to rebuild the pool? Like, what are we talking about here with this potential damage if it's put off? Not saying that I want to put it off. I just want to know.
Until we see the report from Knott, I wouldn't be comfortable trying to presuppose what the expense might be.
Okay.
I think you're looking at anything, though, from a simple repair, which can be done after the season ends, to a complete rebuild of the pool. It's a full gamut at this moment until we have better information.
Yeah, no, I'm of the opinion the sooner we can get that information, the better. So I definitely don't want to take this lightly and everything. So I think we have a responsibility community to try and do the right thing. And if we can do the right thing and still try and, meet our schedule of when we want to get the pool open, then I'd say, yeah, let's take advantage of, like Josh said, you can get 10, 14-day weather forecast. And if it's 72-hour window, I think it seems like it'd be pretty low risk, especially since we haven't had a freeze in like 2 months. So
Director Baca?
So my only question is there anything that's on file with like the city of Erie from inspections when it was originally built that would give more information than what was left at the clubhouse or from Oakwood? Is there anybody else that would have these answers? Because I would assume with having a swimming pool in a district with a community that it wouldn't just be Oakwood saying, yeah, go ahead and build a pool. So are there other people that know more about the pool than maybe Oakwood did?
Do you want me to answer that?
No, somebody.
So when the subdivision was planned, it was always intended that the district would take ownership of the pool. So it wasn't an improvement that would be dedicated to the city. So the city wouldn't have approved the construction of the pool.
So they don't have inspections like when you build a house, you have to have an inspection of your of your walls and things before your permit and things like that. So there was nobody making sure it was built correctly. They just let them put in a pool.
Well, there would have been a building permit, but the responsibility to make sure that the pool was constructed as designed would have fallen on District 4 in the acceptance process. And we know how well those acceptance processes went, especially with the pool, because before District 4 accepted it, the Oakwood already knew that there was a problem with the pool. So we don't have those records.
So they knew they were handing us over a mess, and that's why
Yep.
they so kindly said, yep, we'll send you all this money to fix it, knowing it wasn't going to be enough to fix it.
Correct. So, I mean, from my end, as mentioned, as many in this community know, the pool and clubhouse have been something I've been deeply tied to for years now, from both the previous management team, from the developer, working directly with Julio and team. I do feel akin to like ensuring that this is done correctly and reaching out with all parties engaged in it. To Joan's point, this was Oakwood. We know how Oakwood is. I highly doubt it is reinforced. The should be doesn't give me hope and confidence. At the end of the day, if Julio is recommending that we don't drain it early, I would take his opinion much higher than someone that hasn't been a part of our our community. I guess my piece, Dave, is are any other pools or communities that you guys manage that have had something similar to this, or what have you guys done with other communities you manage that have pool and clubhouses that with issues like this?
I've not had a pool with issues like this before, Director Manley. Something where we know there is a problem. We just don't know what the problem is. And you brought up something I want to, if I may, you jogged my memory. Julio was also comfortable with this approach that we could drain and refill. He didn't want to drain and leave it for an extended period of time, but he was comfortable if we did a drain and refill during a weather window.
Okay. Do we have an estimate on the number of gallons needed to refill it for cost?
I don't. And the cost, I did send an email. I would imagine we're talking at less than 1,000 to do the drain and the refill for Julio's time. We then also have the chemicals that go in the antifreeze and everything else that he puts in there. We'd have to repurchase, but I don't have a proposal from him yet. We reached out to him this afternoon to get that and just weren't able to get that in time.
Is there a way we can tie the drain and the cleaning now together with a refill, so that way when it comes closer to time, they don't have to come out and do a cleaning a second time with the draining?
Certainly possible, and I'll ask him about that. I mean, anything we can do to save you money, we're going to do to save you money. I can assure you of that.
Yeah, and my concern is the longer that pool remains uncovered, two things. It's a huge liability to have water in that thing, and you know what I mean? And the other thing is the covers just sitting there are going to get damaged, not being put away. So whatever we choose to do, if Julio feels like it's safe to get that thing drained and start doing that like ASAP, I'm on board, because I feel like I don't like it being uncovered. I fear for kids and I fear for little animals, and I don't want to know what's already in there from it being uncovered this long.
Director Kaufman, you were going to say something as well?
I was just going to say, looking at the 10-day forecast, we're not really due for a freeze event except Friday. So if we can, I don't know if we need a motion and approve, like, let's say a cap of $3,000 or $5,000 to get this done, drained, cleaned, LIDAR'd, filled back up, covered. Then if we need a motion to do that, let's just get a motion, and then the powers that be between the LIDAR company and Julio can pick a 3-day window and get it done.
The only other recommendation I'm kind of make with that, Keith, is let's keep the pool committee involved in it as well, just to ensure like communication is kept on all of us. We know exactly what's happening, and if there needs to be in between versus spending management company time, we have this team now that can actually work directly with these vendors and come to resolution without spending money on management if need be, to kind of PM it.
Yeah, I would caution you to try to do that on your own, Director Manley. I appreciate the desire to save money, but I think it's important that management and legal be involved in that process. You can be saving a few $100s, but causing thousands in additional expense down the road.
Yeah. So based on your email, I think it was $1,000. So should we put a $2,000, $3,000 limit and just make a motion, approve it, move on, so we can get it done?
Yeah, because you have to also, if Julio's able to clean it while it's emptied and refill, we were going to have to pay that cost anyway. So just as long as he's brought aware of what we're requesting, and I think that's one reason why Jason's asking to be involved, is because some of these things are slipping through the cracks and things aren't getting done. And I feel like we're repeating the same things in each meeting over and over and over again. And that's what's causing frustration with everybody. So as long as they know that we want to have it emptied, cleaned, and refilled, if that's a option, just to save the district money.
Okay, so I have from Director Kaufman a motion to spend up to $3,000. You know, it might be better, Director Kaufman, rather than putting a number, and I'll defer to Joan and Haley, if I just take direction from the board to proceed in this manner, and we just handle it without worrying about if he comes back and says, well, it's actually 3,600.
Yeah, that's fine. if whatever we need to do to approve the go ahead, and sooner than later.
Joan, Haley, do you have any disagreement with that approach?
No, that's fine. If that's the board's what they want to do, that's fine.
Okay, we'll get that set up with Julio and Knott Labs for as quickly as possible during this window that you mentioned, Director Kaufman, and hopefully Knott can get out there during that time as well. I would imagine their time is fairly slow right now too.
Yeah, you know, whenever they feel it's appropriate and everybody can be on the schedule. And then with that, if you can just CC or send us something to the pool committee to let us know that it's happening and when and so forth. Because
Yes,
I'm always interested just to observe. I like watching all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff anyway.
we'll definitely do that.
Not trying to micromanage you, Dave. Just
Oh no, I don't see that as
I'm an engineer
micromanagement,
by
Director
trade,
Kaufman.
you know, and I love to watch that kind of stuff.
I don't see that as micromanagement at all.
Okay, thank
Director
you.
Matches, did you have something
Yeah,
you were going to
just-
say?
Yeah, just to add on to something that Keith said, during the next 9 days, you only have 4 days that the overnight air temperature is below freezing. The ground's not frozen.
Right.
The ground temperature is probably pretty high. And even if it were to snow's insulation too. So,
Yeah, the ground surrounding the pool is definitely warmer as a result of having the water in the pool, keeping that
Yeah.
ground warmer.
yeah, I mean, I think you picked the right period of time you can do this thing.
Okay, I will get that moving tomorrow then. Directors, next on the agenda, if there's no more discussion on this, is the committee report from the Carriage Home Committee, and I'm not sure.
Hold on, Dave. We
Yes,
didn't really
Director
talk
Kaufman.
about the
I'm
rest
sorry.
of the
We're going
pool
to go
stuff.
back. Yeah, we have the contractors what I would suggest, directors, to avoid us having to call a special meeting or a meeting in April if it's not necessary beyond this, is to talk about who you want for contractors for the summer services, assuming the pool does open, and you can approve these subject to the pool opening. Thank you, Director Kaufman, for keeping me on the right schedule here. So with that said, Pool Committee, I'll turn it over to you to discuss B, C, and D.
Do you want to put the presentation or share the presentation?
I can do that. I hadn't planned to, so give me just a moment. That was sent out to the directors, but I will put that on the screen as well right now. Director Manley, I have that on, and I'm happy to leave that up for you, and just tell me when you want me to change the page.
Appreciate it, Dave. So, yep. Yeah, hello, community. As mentioned, pool committee has been meeting quite regularly, kicked off a small cadence and trying to get things up and running. Team has been running. So on the team right now, we have Tony Baca, Keith, Liz, Chloe, and myself. Our goal is basically to ensure that our most valuable asset is maintained and overseeing the vendors who's coming in, giving informed recommendations to the board as a whole to ensure we're providing great services, but also managing our finances appropriately. A couple projects that we've had since we just kicked off the month before last is lifeguard versus monitor review, cleaning contract review, trash contracts, building exterior, and other cost saving initiatives have all kind of been topics that we've been hitting at the moment. Future review is chemical suppliers, revenue, like ways of bringing in additional revenue, deck replacement planning, and security updates. All right, go ahead. Next one, Dave. And apologies if I'm going fast. Anyone that has questions, feel free to jump in and just ask. So first slide we have here is kind of a breakdown of everyone that was brought in, looked at for lifeguard and pool, and trying to get an idea of pricing, scope, what it would include, and all the funness with it. I'll boil this down into 3 main companies that we kind of are looking at. So one was the current solution of YMCA, who was a lifeguard, life-saving service provider. So they were estimated at 76,170, number of staff between 3 and 4 bodies based on volume. Went out, tried to bring in additional life-saving services, and actually was able to connect and identify Erie Rec is interested in providing this service to us directly as well. So with Erie Rec, by matching the same exact services that YMCA would, we would be down to 64,000. The only unfortunate rub here is they can't start until 2027 because the town's budgets have already been approved and they cannot hire additional staff to take care of us. But they would love to work with us to be this. The other things that they have additionally are CPOs, so they are able to come out. Not only would they be able to have lifeguard, but their staff would be CPO certified, so full understanding of the pump room, able to understand backflow, wash, everything that goes along with that, and then additional cleaning tasks that they were willing to take on outside of YMCA. From there, we also looked at multiple monitor companies. The one here that kind of stuck up as far as best offering for a bang for buck was Mile High Pools. So they would take care of trash, skim, bathrooms, and monitoring the pool. The biggest downside was it is only one body, but we were looking at 38,000 a year on that piece of it. All right. Same hours would be the same as we were used to, 12 to 8 with the body. Holidays and things like that we'd have to adjust for, but that is what we're looking at on that piece. You want to go next slide, Dave? Oh, sorry, there is one other piece. Without the lifeguards, we are required to have the waiver signed every year from insurance and legal review. So with main difference between having the lifeguards and not, well, I shouldn't say main, but one of the bigger things that will be a thing that we need to put in place is the signing of the waivers every single year. All right, go ahead and go for it, Dave. So after all the consideration back and forth, the pool committee came up with the recommendation of going with Mile High Pool plus an overhaul of the current security system. So with there only being one body there, we feel like having something that allows them to have the ability to easily see additional areas and monitor from a central point would be a lot easier. So estimate would be about 5,000 for new cameras and VR and cabling. It would be additional for install cost, no ongoing license or storage fees. So total estimate for 2026 would be about 50,000, which would be a $26,000 savings of what the YMCA bill would be to bring in both Mile High Pool plus overhaul the security system at the pool area. Any questions or concerns with with that recommendation or anything that people want to go into to ask about?
Quick question on Mile High Pools. It's one person, it's not, I'm assuming this is just going to pool monitor versus lifeguard, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so it's just a monitor, no life-saving services offered.
Could I add something really quick, Jason?
Of course.
So, as you kind of described, there's no law in Colorado that expressly requires lifeguards, which is kind of why we're looking at both lifeguards and pool monitors here. As Jason said, we definitely will need waivers if we're not doing lifeguards, and then also recommended that we get some signage all over the pool saying, no lifeguard on duty, swim at your own risk, maybe possible restrictions of like on an age basis, with having children at the pool alone if there's no lifeguard. I know there will be the monitor there all the time, but the risk is a little greater when it's not a certified lifeguard.
Oh yeah.
So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I think we went through that already last year with even with having lifeguards, since we don't have lifeguards the entire time the pool is open, because the pool opens at 6 a.m.
Right.
So everybody had to sign waivers anyway, even with the lifeguards. And also I thought we discussed last year about age restrictions, but there wasn't I can't remember, but I thought Jeff said there was a specific, or there was not a specific age issue in Colorado. I can't remember.
I would think it was like something
Yeah,
about with a non-discrimination effort, but something that would block us so that we couldn't limit based upon age because it was a public built area.
Right.
yeah, I think we went back and forth on it a little bit last year, and I don't think we ended up restricting based on age because of it, and we had lifeguards. We could send something out that kind of goes more in depth into the discussion, but like Jason said, it could be a discrimination issue, but if we come up with other things besides age that still kind of restrict on the basis of what we're worried about, like people who are not good swimmers, they're not, some communities do like a swim test. That's still, we could do something like that and put that in place. So it's not like exactly saying like if you're 16 or younger, you can't come into the pool without a guardian, but things that can still restrict the kind of group of people we're worried about for safety issues, which does happen to be, the younger crowd.
Yeah,
And
especially with
Haley,
the slide.
Haley, am I correct in saying that if we have the waiver signed and the signs saying no lifeguard is on duty, let's just say worst case scenario, a kid drowns, it would be on their parents for the liability, correct? Like we could be held liable because those two things were done. Like that family signed the waiver saying that they are allowing their children to swim there and will not hold us legally liable.
So no, the district owns and operates the pool, and it is a public pool, so the district could have liability. So just kind of doing an umbrella here, the Governmental Immunity Act in Colorado, that does protect the district, but there is an exception and to that act, and it directly waives swimming facilities run by public entities. So if someone was injured at the pool and that they could show that the injury resulted from negligent operation and maintenance of the pool, which no lifeguard, that would go against the district, then it is possible that the district could be held liable. You can't really say one way or the other, like, oh, we had they signed a waiver, so we'd never be held liable. Those things help to restrict your liability, but there's still a chance that the district could be held liable. I mean, even if you had a lifeguard, you could be held liable, but of course, a lifeguard is probably the number one thing that you can say, would save someone or be put in place to kind of mitigate that risk.
Director Cowers has her hand up as well.
Yeah, it's along the same line. I'm curious about non-residents who get in one way or another after collecting signatures at the pool for a while last summer. There's a lot of people that aren't residents that come and go at the pool. I'm just sort of curious, so those people would not have signed waivers. What's the liability for people like that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of along the lines of what I said too. I mean, if someone who didn't sign a waiver was injured, that would be, even worse for the district. But one thing I think we considered last year, and I'm not sure if it was ever put in place, was key cards for the pool. I
They already
know
exist.
that they do exist, you said?
Yeah, that's what's been there since the pool opened. So we
Okay.
tied the waivers to activating the key cards, and so that's a process that we'll have to do again this year, and like
Yeah.
have the pool team come up with the recommendation of how that's going to deactivate, reactivate, capture, and piss people off again. But yes, the key cards are tied to or currently assigned to homes, and then from that, tracked in the system.
Well, I think the biggest problem is the word public, because it's
Yeah.
a public pool. What that means is it's not private. And so if somebody drowns, it's not a resident, we can be held just as liable as if it was a resident. So yeah, that I mean, I was all for a pool monitor, but I'm not so sure anymore because as you all know, I work in insurance and I see liability claims every day. So yeah, that kind of
Well,
puts
nobody's supposed to be at the pool. It's not a resident unless they're with a resident. So the resident is just, I guess technically is assuming the risk and responsibility of their guests. That also doesn't change for the time period from 6 to noon when we don't have a lifeguard. So even if we have lifeguards, there's 6 hours a day where we don't have lifeguards or even a monitor. So there's still, the liability is not changing from last year to this year, regardless of what we do. Liability hasn't changed.
Does
We
it
are-
help, Haley, if we have a monitor? If we have like a monitor that's there, does that help us at all?
Yeah, I think the monitor is a good way to mitigate risk. Just like someone supervising the pool. So
I don't
yes.
think any adult is gonna allow a child to drown, and I don't spend much time up at the pool, but those that do, there's probably residents on the phone. I mean, if you see a child drowning, you're not just gonna be like, oh, not my kid, not my problem. So, okay.
Okay.
So I have one other point I'd like to mention. If you're looking at going with Erie in 2027, I wouldn't change how you're doing things in 2026. For 1 year, invest a lot, make changes, and then go back to having lifeguards in 2027, with the community. I think consistency is really important. And also when kids drowned, it's not that somebody sees them drowned, it's that the pool's really crowded. There's nobody controlling how many people are in the pool, and some kid is stuck at the bottom of the pool, and hopefully someone, when the kid hits their leg, someone will reach down and pick them up. But usually when they drowned, it's because they're at the bottom of the pool and no one sees them.
Yeah, I mean that you're hitting it on the head, Jim. Like one of the biggest contention points is our no float rule, and the no floats are to make it so that the lifeguards can see into the pool. And yeah, you're right. It's not you're not seeing them drown; they're already under.
Well, and the other thing that I'm thinking too in my head, and I know we've had this conversation as a committee, but this neighborhood has grown a ton, and we were already having a ton of kids in that pool before we added another 100 households. And so that's another thing to consider, is there's going to be more bodies in that water as well. So yeah, I'm not a really the best one because I'm an insurance agent, so I see the worst of the worst. So it's hard for me to say don't have lifeguards when I deal with lawsuits every day. Jason, when do these need to be submitted in, as far as deciding if we're gonna put a vote on who we're gonna choose? One, we have to make sure the pool's gonna open, but two, when do these contracts need to be signed? Like, when do we have to have a final decision?
I mean, now is best because our goal is not to meet in April. With pool opening in May, I think now is definitely the time to have the decision because last year we ran into issues where we were delayed because YMCA wasn't prepped for us. And then just as FYI, I did reach. Yeah, and I did reach out to additional lifeguarding teams. There are some up north in Fort Collins and additional ones down south. Unfortunately, we are not in range of any of those. The only other team other than YMCA I could find was Erie Rec, and we were too late for them to get into their budget.
Yeah, then I guess, I mean, the board has had an option, or have had an opportunity to look at all of this. So should we go? I mean, is that where we are now, is going to vote on whether or not, like, what company we're going forward with? Should we do that? And
That's the goal, Director Baca, is to do that this evening. Have a motion and a second from directors on both boards to select your vendor for this year. And if what Director Manley has presented regarding Erie is the board's desire for next year, you should approve that this year as well, just so that they can get that in the budget, though you could do that later at the end of the year since their budget
They told us May, David.
yeah,
May.
so
That's their prep time.
I'm just gonna think out loud
May of this year for next year.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna just think out
Okay.
loud here, and anybody who wants to chime in and tell me different, but I know the YMCA is expensive. I know that we're over, that it's expensive to have them, and we could do so much other things with that money. But if we have a lawsuit, we're going to end up, yes, we have insurance, but from what's already happened in the past, our insurance is probably going to be increased anyway. I just don't know that this is where we should be saving money. That's how I kind of feel about it. And I know that residents aren't going to like the fact that I say that because they don't want to see that cost, but I don't want to see something happen and it be at our cost. That's the only thing I fear. And I think Joan's absolutely right. If we're going to go to YMCA next year, then what's the point of taking lifeguards away for 1 year? And if something happens, let's just say we have to drain and refill, there's the money we spent or that we saved. I do like the idea of upgrading the camera equipment. I think that regardless of what we decide, that needs to be done anyway, because there are going to be times when there's not going to be lifeguards there. But I'm just going to suggest I would feel more comfortable, and I don't know, I'm speaking for myself, but I say we just re-engage with YMCA. It does not make me comfortable. Now listening to Joan and to Haley, we may be setting ourselves up. That's just kind of how I feel. And I know other communities don't have lifeguards, but they have higher fences, they have better security measures, and we've already seen things going wrong in this neighborhood with other things. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents. Is I say we move it to a vote and let's just let the board decide.
I'll take well, let me ask one question first. Is Jason, do you know if we went with Mile High Pools, could they do more of a check-in process at the pool rather than relying on?
Unfortunately, it's only one person, and this is one of the concerns that I raised during our internal committee groups, because same Josh is, we want to have good check-in flow, but if that one person is supposed to be responsible for check-in, keeping the pool clean, keeping the bathrooms clean, ensuring that no one's being destructive at the pool, that's a lot for one body to do. And I don't know how well one body could do that. Now they could go to 2, but then that would double our price.
And then at that point, we might as well just do the YMCA.
Yeah.
And the other thing with YMCA is that we have several eyes on that pool during the time that they are open. So.
And the one thing that we would get with YMCA with having the pool and lifeguard committee or pool and clubhouse committee, the engagement with the YMCA would be from that team to give direction, I would say, to YMCA, like more direct direction. And that team is able, instead of sitting in the lifeguard room, to have a desk sitting there and be the monitor group. So they have their backup. They have the 2 at the watching the water, and then 1 that would be basically watching the gates to ensure people are actually keying in. And they would be able to do that piece, but once again, it is a large cost to the community. So I think that was the big piece that the pool and lifeguard team was hoping to ensure, is that we were staying within the approved budget for the year as much as possible, especially with everything kind of coming down the pipe.
I just see it being a struggle if we decide to go that route of doing Mile High Pools, then turning around next year and saying, guess what? Now we have lifeguards. So that's the only thing that I just want us to all think about. Is it's the same thing with this fee, that we started it and then we increased it. Had we just put it at the highest, we wouldn't have so many people complaining about it increasing. And so you're going to have a lot of people that are going to give us much more pushback if we do monitoring this year do the monitoring this year and then do lifeguards next year. I'm all for trying the monitor. I'm all for saving the money because I think that there's a lot of other things that could be done. It's just, at what cost will we pay if something happens? That's my only fear. We'll be well over budget if that happens.
Yeah. Chloe, and you're on the committee, so what do you want? I know you have a comment in your hand up.
Ms. Wood, did you, as a member of the pool committee, have comments you wanted to offer as well? Ms. Wood? She may have stepped away for a moment.
I'll go ahead and weigh in since it's been kind of D1 heavy and talking about this stuff. Coming to this meeting and looking at the report, I definitely appreciate all the work that you guys have put into it. Yeah, at first I was thinking really, on board the Mile High pools, but yeah, after listening to the attorneys and Tony, I'm definitely leaning towards going with the YMCA as well. I agree that the pool is one of those things that you don't want to mess with, and with us continuously becoming a bigger community, having more people in the pool, full disclosure, I have an 8-year-old, so I mean, obviously that's like parents' worst nightmare, something happening in like a pool, right? So whatever we can do to kind of lower that risk is obviously huge, and it just seems like hearing the entire scope of things that are being covered here, it does seem like a lot of work for one person, monitoring, glass at the pool. I mean, that's always, to be honest, anytime a pool gets shut down, it's because someone was careless with glass. So it's like that happens one time. And yeah, it's like, well, we might as well have gone with the YMCA. Last year, we didn't, knock on wood, shut down once because of glass. And, I think we're pretty on top of it. So I mean, the risk of that happening, now this is the exact same conversation we had last year. So I'm definitely seeing the value in the why and, the added, I think I'm leaning towards that personally now.
Directors, I'll note that Ms. Wood dropped and reconnected, and perhaps there was a technical problem with her audio. Ms. Wood, are you able to hear now? And if so, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
I did it. Sorry about that. I'll be brief just because I know we're trying to get this to vote. Just as a secondary kind of point of view, I too, have a toddler and a baby. Obviously, there are risks involved that are lower when there's 2 lifeguards there versus a monitor. It seems to me that most of the issues of glass breaking and that sort of thing is either people just not following the rules anyway. I don't know if a lifeguard is really going to make a difference versus a monitor on that. But the price difference, like you said, other communities that don't use lifeguards, have more security measures. That does free up, and this is totally in line with what you were saying, that, we can do stuff with those funds. That seems to free up a lot of money to increase security measures that can kind of go forward. And I'm certainly not opposed to potentially using Erie Rec 2027, but if we do a monitor this year and it goes pretty well, that's a lot of money in the budget to continue to increase security measures, maintenance, all that sort of stuff, where it's, to me, not a foregone conclusion that we have to go back to lifeguards if we go to monitors and everybody's like, this is better and it's cheaper and it works out. So just one thought of many.
And the other thing I want to point out too is, Chloe, I know you spend a lot of time at the pool, so I know that you probably have a lot more eyes on that. I don't spend any time at the pool, and my kids are all adults, so I don't have yes, I know adults can drown, but I don't have the same outlook on that as maybe she does. And so, I would like to hear from people who actually use the pool and are up there, because I'm never up there. So
Director Hobbs, I missed the guitars, a mandolin in the background this evening, but you've raised your hand.
I had to switch up the office. It's getting stale in here. I think we go with the pool committee's recommendation, and then we have the data. This is what it's like with a pool monitor. And if it sucks, then we're prepared for next year to go back to having a lifeguard. I think the residents will be a lot happier with that. And then we can for sure say, these are the benefits and these are the non-benefits.
I think it's important if we end up going with a monitor too, to just be very clear that hey, we're trying this for 1 year, might go back to lifeguards next year. And it might make people, because I think the general sentiment is that people prefer not to have lifeguards. It might make people hey, let's not mess this up. But we've also kind of predated it with this is a trial run. So everybody's not thinking like, hey, it's monitors from here on out. And it kind of gives us flexibility for, we tried it, didn't work, or we tried it and it worked really well.
Well, and I think that's a great idea. That's exactly what I was going to say. And possibly saying, just understand, people bring glass in, it gets broken, something happens, then if it gets to the point where that thing has to be drained and refilled and we start to go over budget, it closes early. Like, it just has to be a realistic thing that people realize that everybody needs to have their eyes on that pool that live here, and enjoying the amenity means that also if you see something that's not supposed to be going on, don't be afraid to say something, because it could cause the pool to close.
Yeah.
Directors, as I said to Director Cowers earlier today, I don't need unanimity. I just need majority on decisions like this. Perhaps it would be good if we could have a little bit of a straw poll. Not necessarily a motion in a second, but I'd like to see if we have 3 directors from both districts leaning in the same direction, or if we should continue with additional conversation.
Could I add one comment here, David?
Absolutely, sir. It's your meeting.
Right. Back when my daughters were younger in college, they would lifeguard, but they were lifeguards not through the YMCA, but on their own. They had whatever background training and CPR training or whatever, but they were just hired at local pools. They didn't go through YMCA or any. Is there such a thing as placing an ad for a lifeguard to supplement the pool monitor?
Oh, we would have
let me
issues.
Yeah, let me suggest it's not something a district wants to do, is to have employees of the district.
Well, then let's take it to a vote and see what everybody thinks, or let's just each one just say what you're thinking, because that's the only way we're going to get past it.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of mile high pools. I just generally think YMCA and maybe lifeguards in general aren't very good at rule enforcement, which is a lot of what we're talking about. Like, when we've closed the pool for glass, YMCA has been there. Last year we had a great season, but 2 years ago, I mean, we had lifeguards there even with glass breaks. So it's not like that's going to change pool monitor versus lifeguard, I don't think.
Yeah. I would
Jason.
agree with the mile high and the savings involved.
Same.
All right, well then let's take it to a vote.
So Directors, District 1, is there a motion to approve the proposal for Mile High Pools for pool monitor services plus an additional $5,000 and installation fees for additions to the security system? And this is all contingent upon or subject to the pool opening. So if there's a motion and a second for that from District Number 1, please.
All motion.
Thank you. And a second, please.
I'll second, Jason.
Thank you. Directors in District Number 1, are there any opposed to that motion?
I'm going to oppose just because I feel better with YMCA, but sorry, guys.
Sorry.
And I want to oppose too, so I don't quite know what to do. That doesn't get us to a majority. Mary, not here. Sorry, same with me on the liability side. It only needs to happen once.
So District Number 1, you will not have a majority vote, which now, as Joan and Haley and I have discussed in the past, if District 2 gets a majority decision, District 1's going to have to go along with District 2, because ultimately the higher level of service is what you end up going with. So District Number 2, let's see where we stand with you. Is there a motion and a second from you to select Mile High Pools for pool monitor services plus an overhaul of security systems in the amount of $5,000 plus installation fees.
I move.
Thank you, Director Hobbs, and a second to that, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Kaufman. Let me find if I have any opposed in District Number 2, please.
I oppose.
That being the case, I have a 4-1 vote in District Number 2. District Number 1, and you will also be having the pool monitor service and the overhaul of the security system, the amount of $5,000 plus installation fees. Let's move into the next item on the agenda. And the next item on the agenda is to consider the proposal from Erie regarding the 2027 lifeguard services. Is there a motion, District 1, for that purpose?
I'll motion.
Awesome.
And is there Jason, I'm sorry, you were the second to that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Directors are in District Number 1. Are there any opposed?
I would oppose for 2027, given that we have a marginally higher cost, but more time to consider a re-engagement of YMCA if pool monitor doesn't go well this year.
So I show that as a 3-1 vote for District Number 1. District Number 2, is there a motion and a second to engage Erie request for next year, please?
And before we do this, can I just ask on District 1, this is just so we can get quotes from them. This is not like giving them the position, correct?
Oh,
You are asking them to budget for this next year, as I understood Director Manley and Director Kaufman explained. So you are, Joan, you and Haley can opine, but it seems to me like you are engaging them contractually.
Oh, I misunderstood then. Yeah, no, I don't want to engage them. I want to see their quote before we make that decision. That's crazy. It could like double.
You have their quote already, do you not, Director Manley? That
Yeah,
price
that was
for
the pricing that
2027.
got sent out, Tony.
Yeah, the only thing though that I'm thinking, Jason, is let's see how the monitor goes. So yeah, I'm gonna be
Okay.
with Josh. I say let's see how the monitor goes before we make that decision.
All right, so the only call out I can give is if we don't let them know by May if we are interested for 2027, then they cannot put it in their budget to provide for services for next year. Just like we're a statutory regulated body, they are the same, and they are much more structured and streamlined and when things have to be turned in so they can get to the town council to approve.
Which means we're committing to pool monitors for at least 2 years.
We could go back to YMCA.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
go back to
we could go
YM. The only thing I can speak of is, so I met personally with Erie Rec at the pool, and I was highly impressed. It's the only piece that I can relay out. They did struck an accord with me. They were very knowledgeable on the ins and outs of both our current issues we have with YMCA, the tech that we have in the pump room. They actually use a lot of the same tools that we have there, and then the offerings that they wanted to bring to our community wasn't just like lifeguard, but then like while they're there, they could do class teachings and things like that as well. So maybe there are options to look at additional partnerships on that piece. Maybe we won't do the 27 or 2026 piece of it, but maybe we continue conversations with them to offer, hey, using our space to do classes and stuff like that. But that can be pool committee to look into their revenue streams, to work with them to bring in additional revenue streams on that side. But yeah, we can skip. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud here as well now, and I need to shut up.
I'm
trying
just
to put
not
my personal
comfortable
feelings
putting
behind.
that. Yeah, the only thing is I'm not comfortable with that because if the monitor goes well, that saves us almost $30,000. I say we wait,
Okay.
and if it doesn't work out, then we re-engage with YMCA.
Sounds
So I
good.
have a 2-2 vote for district number
Oh
one.
my
then,
gosh,
Joan?
can somebody call Barry and tell
one thing
him
I
to
would
get
like
on
to
this
point out, you
call?
guys, is right now we're getting quotes from the Erie Rec Center based on 2026 pricing.
Yeah.
Like most industries, there are price increases year over year. So there's 64,000,
That's
might
what I'm
be
saying.
70,000 next year. YMCA
Jason,
might
is
be
that is
80.
that cost locked in for us for next year, or is that could that change?
There's always a structure change.
Yeah, I say we hold off.
Let's see how the contract's written with them. If they're saying, hey, we'll honor this price, but if there's something in the contract that says, hey, price is subject to change, then I'd say, we pass it based on the 64,000 being the price that they're going to offer in 2027. I mean, it seems like we're basically passing 50,000 to have a monitor. So the option is next year it goes up 14,000, but all of a sudden we get 3 or 4 individuals. So, seems like a pretty good deal to me. I'm gonna vote yes on it when D2 wants to vote. So
Well, it's in D2 hands, so go
Sorry,
for
I
it.
stepped away from my computer for 1 sec, so I can't raise my hand. But the monitor pricing, that includes the upgrade to the system as well, which wouldn't be recurring, correct?
No, that
So
was
even
an
if-
additional
Yeah.
$5,000 for that. Joan, were you going to offer some comments?
Well, I had a question about the Erie Rec. Are they asking us to sign a contract, or are they
No,
looking?
no. I think that might be part of miscommunication on my end.
Yeah.
This was originally supposed to be for 20, when I asked to be added to the agenda, it was for this year, not knowing that they couldn't do this year. They didn't come back. They actually didn't even know they couldn't do this year until hand. So I get that.
So
We can table
the
this
board-
motion completely.
Yeah.
So they could put it in their budget and then take it
Yeah,
out.
that,
if
and
we
then I
decide
thought we
not
were
to.
saying this to let them know, hey, 2027 we are wanting to, but not to actually sign a contract and
Oh, okay.
strong partner
I'm
ourselves. That this was to give them a
Okay.
nod that we were interested, to let them know that they could move forward, not to actually engage.
okay.
And
Okay.
then the districts can also put it in their budget. It doesn't mean you have to spend it, but
Correct.
yeah.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I thought we were like
No,
officially
it
saying
doesn't
we're
mean we
hiring
have to
them.
actually engage with them.
Okay.
There is no contract at the moment. This is just to help plan for 2027, to say that we would be interested in moving forward with
Okay.
services so they could
vote
sell the
on it.
town.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Sorry. All right, I'm good with that.
I'm not opposed to that either, so you can withdraw my opposition to that. I thought we were engaging them for 27.
No. They have no contract. I mean, that's not even guaranteed they will get the budget approval to bring in staff.
Okay, perfect. Okay, go ahead, D2. Sorry, David. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. So to make sure I have recorded the vote correctly, district number 1, I had a motion from Director Baca to approve Erie Rec for 2027, a second from Director Manley. Are there any corrections to that, Director Baca or Director Manley?
Actually,
Director,
I just want to clarify. I don't think we just said to approve it, but to like signal, like we want to get on their budget. Maybe
correct.
splitting hairs here, but it's
Negotiate.
we're committing to Erie Rec for 2027. We're committing to asking to be put in their budget for 2027.
Correct, Director Cowers. We'll reflect it with the proper legal language when Joan and Haley review the minutes. Directors District 1, are there any opposed to that motion? District number 2, then if I could get from you a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Gonzalez, and a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Kaufman. Directors District 2, are there any opposed? We have some wind at our backs. Let's proceed. We're into the discussion on proposal for cleaning services. And as I heard earlier, Director Baca, you were going to lead that conversation.
Oh, actually, the next slide, David, I think was trash services. Apologies.
I will go to that right now. You did have that to change over.
And you don't have to put this slide up. I'm fine. Because it's already, there's only 2.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I can go over. Do you want to do trash service, attorney?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect.
So currently right now we have Waste Connection. What we have right now is we have 3 garbage and 1 recycling up there, and we're paying about $211.33 per quarter. Trash is picked up weekly, but recycling is every other week. So I did reach out to One Way. We do get 1 additional recycling. We do save some money going with them. They do pick up both trash and recycling. And they did tell me that if we give them a key card, they can get in and pull the cans, or we can put them out. I think we all came up with the conclusion that we would like to propose One Way, just because 1, they don't pick up at 7 a.m. So if we do have to put the trash out, Julio's not having to be up there to put the trash out before 7. And we get another recycling bin, which Keith and I were up there, and that would be a good thing, because the earth, right? Like, who doesn't want to save the earth? So yeah, so we're proposing to switch it over to One Way.
Thank you, Director Baca. Is that a motion from you?
It is, David.
And all I need from District 1 would be a second to that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Mum. District 1, any opposed to changing to One Way? District number 2, same question to you. If there's a motion. I have Director Kaufman on the motion. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Gonzalez. Are there any opposed in District number 2? Look at that, sailed right through. I'd like to say it was the presenter who made that happen, Director Baca. Well done to you.
Thanks.
Here's the slide for clubhouse cleaning.
So same thing with the clubhouse cleaning. A little bit has changed though since we met, because I just found out that Cells did not know that we were having issues with the cleaning. And then after looking at the contract they had with Oakwood, I could understand why the clubhouse looks the way that it does. So I met with the 3 that are listed. I met with others, but these were like the top 3. The other ones didn't even come back with a bid. So they're all pretty close in price. There's just a few difference. The big thing that stood out to me was the deep clean needing to start, because the clubhouse there are some issues that need to be addressed. The windows inside and out need to be cleaned. There needs to be some spider webs taken out of the ceiling, which I didn't even notice were up there until they pointed it out. And then also the sticky stuff all over the windows. I'm going to propose, and if the board is okay with this, we need to put something in when they rent the clubhouse that if they're going to put any of that stuff on there, they need to clean it off, because I spent 3 hours up there and I still couldn't get that stuff off. And so one of the cleaning people did have a great idea, and that was to put some of those command hooks up on the fireplace and then by the windows, so that they're already up there and people don't need to bring their own tape. So if the board's okay with that, I'm happy to go and install those, so that will prevent the windows from being damaged. Because the problem is they're using pretty much, it's like glue, and you can't scrape it off because you'll scrape the glass. And so I literally have spent 4 hours cleaning those windows on the inside. So I'm not charging the district, by the way, just I would like a thank you. Just kidding. And so the feeling I have after talking to Sal's is Rich, he's very responsive, and he apologized for it. It doesn't help that there's other areas of the clubhouse that have been really dirty since I spent more time up there. Like the workout machines were not clean. When we have snowy days, they're full of mud. And so that's on the residents though. And so Jason had suggested he was going to 3D print something that just said, please clean each machine as you use them. I think that may help. So if you all want to take a vote on this, I'm not opposed to giving Sal's another shot, just because he has been so openly communicative with me, which was great because I've not had a conversation with him. And they've been doing it for years. Plus, the other thing that is really pushing me is that he's a resident of Erie Highlands. And so if anybody else has any reason why they think we should go in another direction, I'd like to hear that. Of course, Household Solutions, if we don't stay with Sal's as meeting with these people, I would suggest doing Household Solutions. She's also an Erie resident, which is big. I mean, Home to Haven is also an Erie resident. Sal's is the only one that lives in the neighborhood. We wouldn't have the cost for a deep clean, although Rich had offered, saying, to make amends, he he offered to go up and do kind of a deep clean and also to clean the windows, which was really nice of him. I don't know if that's been done because I haven't been back up there, but if we don't decide to continue with cells, then my personal suggestion would be to go to Household Solutions.
So Director Baca, is that a motion from you to stay with Sal's and to appoint yourself as the commander?
I
I'm
actually
sorry,
just want,
command strip installer.
there you go.
I wrote it
Tony,
too
not
quickly.
Tony with an I as a girl, not a Y as a boy, you know. I want to actually have a conversation. I mean, what is the board feeling? Because I know you guys have, I don't know if anybody has any personal relationship with Rich from Sal's, but I mean, I'm willing to, it's not just on me. So what do you guys think?
I mean, I can jump in here. I mean, you ran these conversations, you worked with all the vendors. I am willing to take what you have as your gut feeling to go with, but what I do think we need is a kind of like the management side of it, and that can be the committee basically actually doing reviews, checking the work, working with the vendor to say this is staying up to snuff or this is not staying up to snuff, and ensuring that that's kind of happening. Um, I would feel like that was the missing piece, was the checks and balance to ensure that the work was being completed in a form and fashion that the community felt satisfied with.
And
So
I'm
I'm okay
happy.
with sales
Okay.
if as long as we also include in there with an understanding in the con. So a formal contract with sales, because we don't have that currently. That formal contract needs to include the scope of what the weekly cleaning is versus what the after party cleaning is, and I'm assuming Haley and team will kind of have that prehashed. I'm assuming, or will be in whatever the original contract was they had with Oakwood. But I wanted to ensure that when we go up there, we can say XYZ on this item has or has not been met. That would be my only stipulation coming from actually my first job as janitor world, and I got walked through a lot.
So maybe what we suggest, and anybody jump in here, but maybe what we do is continue with cells. I know that he had asked me about being paid. I guess they haven't been paid since November, so I told him that we would discuss that. Getting them paid. Now that I see what their contract was with Oakwood, yeah, they did what they were supposed to do. I can vouch for that because I have looked, besides the spider webs, but that's more of a deep clean. What I would like to do is, now having this conversation with Rich, I would like to continue with cells for a few more months and see if they can get it up to par. And if they don't, and we're seeing that people, they're not cleaning, because the biggest thing was cleaning after the events. The floor was really dirty. And so I think that I'm happy to go up and check on it once a week and just walk through and make sure. I just need to know when they're cleaning. That's the biggest thing, is I have no idea when they're in there.
Can I jump in really fast? Dave, please correct me if I'm wrong. The district does have an agreement with Sal's. We prepared it in March of 2025. I'm looking at it. I don't have the signed version, so
We never
perhaps
approved
it was never approved. Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's the issue, Haley. But the good news, directors, I'm going to try to help you out here. All your contracts have 30-day cancellation clauses on them, so you can approve it tonight. If 2 months down the road you think it's not working well, you can get a whole new contractor in there 30 days later. There's no harm in doing that. I will suggest to you what I like to do to keep people honest, and I'll ask that we do this with Sal's and their agreement. If they're going in after an event to do a cleaning, I'd like to have a photo before and after their cleaning, so that I know what it looked like when they left. And if there's a fee that we should be charging to the resident above and beyond, we can assess that against their deposit. And the same afterwards. If everything looks fine, then we know Sal's did what they were supposed to do. So if somebody goes in an hour later and trashes the place, it's not on Sal's that happened.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And Sal says that they are providing all of the cleaning supplies. So David, is that true? Are they providing all of the stuff to clean and the wipes and the thing?
I believe that's standard in an agreement like that, is the cleaning service provides their own cleaning supplies.
And what about the wipes in the weight room? Because he told me that he'd asked for wipes and hadn't been approved for them, which that was crazy because I hadn't heard that. So is he providing the wipes or are we providing the
He
wipes?
shouldn't be. It's the first I've heard of this, Director Baca, but he shouldn't be. Consumables like that should be paid for by the district. So you're talking about the sterile wipes, the wipes to
Yes.
clean equipment. Yeah, no, the district should be maintaining an inventory of that.
So
Okay, so I think
actually
it's just
had
lack of
Julio reach out.
communication.
Yeah, Julio reached out as well on that, asking for refills, and is told that the district doesn't have a card yet to expense those on. And I know it's been a concern by residents. Is that Travis or Charlie that's supposed to be on the consumable side?
Well, any of us could do it, Travis or Charlie, or I could authorize that. That's a different issue, though. The card issue is a different issue. The district really should have a credit card for things like that. But since we're talking about purchasing at a case or two at a time, we normally can do that on a net 30 agreement with whoever the supplier is.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, does SDMS currently have like negotiations with Uline for corporate contract to bring things in like that?
Yeah, we can easily get that set up for you.
Okay.
Okay,
Because
because that was
the
one reason
concern.
why those machines aren't getting wiped down is they were out of wipes. They did have them the last time I was up there, so they have been refilled. But I will definitely, I'm fine with stopping in once a week and just making sure it's up to par. I've kind of make sure my windows are still clean. So yeah, I'm gonna put if we're okay to motion, I'll motion to leave cells on for right now.
Okay.
I have that from you, and I have the second from Director Manley already.
Yep.
Yeah, can I ask a stupid question here?
I doubt it's stupid coming from you, Director Matches, but give it your best.
Well, it says cost per clean weekly. Cost to clean after event. Includes bathroom at pool in season. Is that a daily cleaning? A weekly cleaning?
It's a weekly cleaning.
Oh, that's
Yep.
Those bathrooms get pretty
But the pool monitor also had bathroom cleans in their contract, so
was that true? It's in their contract too.
Yeah, but that was just the external only bathrooms.
yeah, that's fine. But the bathrooms inside of the clubhouse once a week is fine. I've been up there and they're fine. The cleanings of the exterior bathrooms in the summer, those are included with Mile High pools. So it'll
Right,
kind
but
of be
that's
like
not that's not what this says to me. It says here it includes bathroom at pool in season. That's
So
for
what
pool.
Sal's will do is they'll clean the outside by the pool once a week, but the Mile High cleaning people, they'll be doing it daily.
All right, well, okay.
Because they aren't going to disinfect. And so Sal's will go in and disinfect. And then the pool monitor will go in and make sure the trash is thrown, toilets are flushed, and there's not stuff all over the bathrooms.
Well, to me, it's undefined as to what his responsibility is. That's all. Because that to me, that would say he's responsible daily or once weekly or something.
That'll be spelled out in the contractual scope of work when Haley and Joan put it together. That'll be included in the scope of work, Director Matches, to make sure that it's clarified. District 2 directors, do I have a motion and a second to engage Sal's? And we'll keep Director Baca as the commander still for you, as she's going to be in there.
So moved with Baca in charge.
Thank you, Director Gonzalez. And a second, please. Thank you, Director Kaufman. Are there any opposed? Excellent. Thank you. We will make that happen. Haley and Joan, I know we have from last year the makings of an agreement. We'll just update that, make sure we have the correct scope, and I'll get that out to him for signature then. Directors, unless I'm mistaken now, that gets us out of letter A under Pool and Clubhouse Matters. Am I correct? Carriage Home Committee, Joan, do you know if we have a report or if there will be reports in the future from the Carriage Home Committee?
There is not a report, and we don't anticipate any reports. The communication we received from Oakwood is that they are not going to meet with any residents or committee members. And any communications with Oakwood concerning carriage house issues are to go through Spencer Fain, their attorney.
Thank you, Joan. Directors, do we have any report from the Landscape Committee this evening?
Yes, not a formal report. The landscape committee has had a hard time getting together to discuss things, but we have identified our priorities as being the trees and have done extensive research and understanding, how we want to replace the trees. We do have questions for the neighborhood lawn care that I will send to you directly, David. We kind of formalized this last night, so there hasn't been a lot of time. And once we have answers to those, I think generally we're ready to do, replacement, and assuming, we follow a list of approved trees by the town of Erie. And yeah, I think that's it for trees. And then the rest of it, or we had just talked about our next priorities after this, after the trees, being irrigation. There are resources out there for HOAs in large landscape areas to get their irrigation audited essentially for free through Resource in Boulder. There are also other resources through Resource in Boulder that we can take advantage of. Just exploring all of those options, because really we want to make sure that we're making long-term decisions and not just patching things as they go along. We've also talked a little bit about staining. I'm not quite sure where we left off with that. We were talking with the pool committee, I believe, about staining the archways because the pool area needed to be stained. I need to follow up on that. Mulch, long-term considerations for mulch, and then Christmas lights for the winter. So that's where we are right now, and hopefully we'll have a more formal report for next time.
Just to touch on the staining stuff, we've gotten some quotes going for both the kind of monuments throughout the neighborhood and the clubhouse. And so I'm not sure how we're going to move forward with sharing that information and when we would make a decision on that, especially if we're not meeting in April, because we're trying to get one more quote dialed in and then present that similar to the other things we talked about tonight. So.
If you don't meet in April, Director Toma, I'm happy if you have a report to share that with all directors. Let them review that and then see if there's a sense of the board. If I can get a sense of the board, we can at least proceed and then have ratification at the following meeting.
So people who do staining, because I do not, is May going to be the optimal time to be doing that anyway, just with weather? Because my fear is the longer we wait, some of that area of the clubhouse is really bad and we're going to end up paying more for replacement of boards. But staining isn't my expertise, so I'm just wondering when is the best time to do that, because Keith can attest.
Damage is already done.
Yeah,
Waiting till May isn't going to change anything.
Yeah, we're already so far behind the 8 ball. Like there won't be much more that can be done that's already hasn't been done.
Thank you, Director Hobbs, Director Toma, for that report. Directors, let's move into operations matters. Director Manley, I know you and Travis have been working on the website discussions for enhancements and improvements. I don't know that we have anything concrete yet put in place, but I'll turn it over to you.
Correct. Nothing to really report on at the moment to the community as a whole. I will continue working forward. Biggest pieces are just to alleviate some of the repetitive questions and repetitive things that we do, to ensure that there's a consistent tool and methodology for the community to have access to. So hopefully soon we'll get something there.
Thank you, sir. Directors, in your packet, you had 2 proposals that I was asking for you to review. The first one is from Recreation Plus for playground repair. There's a slide that has a break in the slide. What Charlie, and Charlie, for those who may not know, Charlie is a certified playground inspector. And as a CPI, what he said is the slide is not unsafe, but because of that crack, it could snag a child's leg or something. So he recommended that that slide be replaced. The cost to do that would be $1,600. If there's a motion, if there's any real opposition to it, go ahead and speak. But if not, if there's a motion, then we can get that taken care of pretty quickly.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Mom. And is there a second, please?
I actually had a quick question. If they're not replacing,
Yes.
they're putting in a climber instead. I'm just curious, that does change the age range of kids who can use the equipment.
Oh, right.
Proposal says to replace the slide with a selected climber.
It is the same slide. It's the same piece. I'm trying to pull that up right now.
As long as that, as I said, that's not what the proposal says. I would like for it to be the same piece, but
Yeah, it is the same Duraglide slide that we're talking about, because that's what I did talk to Charlie about. We're not changing the equipment, so that's an error in the proposal. Then I didn't even see. Director Cowers, you have some eagle eyes. That's what I'll tell you.
I know. It's a blessing and a curse, and I second Director Malm's motion.
Thank you. Directors, District 1, are there any opposed? District number 2, and I'm putting in the minutes, Director Cowers, just to make sure that it's clear that this is to replace the Duraglide slide, and we'll make sure that that is what is actually being ordered. So the proposal will get the corrected one attached to the service agreement. District number 2, directors, is there a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Gonzalez, and a second, please.
I had a quick question on the note that says climber covered under warranty. So would we get any type of credit back for this situation, or is the 1,600 account for that portion?
That I did ask Director Toma. I did notice that, and that warranty is on the new piece. That's not on the existing piece that's there. So this will be a warranty for the new one that goes up.
Gotcha. I'll second.
Thank you. I have Director Toma on the second. Are there any opposed?
What is the length of the warranty?
I think it's a year warranty, Director Manley.
Because I feel like we just replaced this slide about 4 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, if I remember correctly.
If it was 4, that certainly wouldn't be under warranty
Yeah.
anymore.
Okay.
Directors, you also had in your packet a proposal from Neighborhood Lawn Care for replacement of the valve boxes and box covers. This originated because I received a complaint from a resident regarding a box near the resident's house that they felt was unsafe. The cover was broken, and they were concerned about if a child were to be playing around, running around, that they would fall in or break an ankle or something. So that's what started this. I asked Hector if he would provide me a proposal to replace that one box and cover. He came back and said, you actually have a number of boxes and covers that are no good. And that number specifically is what's shown on here. We have a total of 56 boxes. These are irrigation boxes, controller boxes. These are the ones that sit in ground that he said are not any good. And then there are 20 lids that are also needing to be replaced. The cost for all of that is what is shown here. And yeah, as I've told you before, it's expensive, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what that 13,680 is. Whether you do it or not is entirely up to you. But this is one of those deals that if you're going to do it, I suggest you do it all at once instead of trying to piecemeal it and say, well, this box is not as bad as that box, so let's do this one and keep that one for another 6 months or year and then change that one out. It just makes sense to do it all or none, honestly.
Are these damaged by weather or not weather, lawn mowing, the covers? Or
I
just
don't know. They
vandalism?
shouldn't be damaged by the mowing, but they do sit in the UV. I mean, these things do wear. It's something that you will have to replace lids at least every couple of years, typically.
Yeah.
Couple of
Did he
years, maybe 3 or
did he
4.
include the area that is between Arrowhead Court and Highview Drive and the Acadia Circle? Because that area has not been accepted yet. And this got broken. It's got these items in there that are broken.
These are only in the accepted tracks. Hector went out and reviewed the accepted tracks. The original
Yeah.
one is over by the park, and that's what, or over by the school. I'd have to pull back her email, but it was somewhere towards the District 1 side of the community, and it obviously then was an older box just based upon that alone.
All right.
The only question I have, David, is he shows a picture of a green lid, which is different than the purple lid. My
Yeah.
understanding, the water sources are completely different. One is non-potable, one is potable. So just make sure that they're putting a green lid back on the proper green box and a purple on a purple,
Yes.
if there's any sort of confusion.
Yeah.
Although he
Yeah.
doesn't list any green lids, the picture is of a green lid.
I have a little bit of historical knowledge on this. The system was all piped to be prepared for non-potable water sources, and that's why it's purple. There was some that were replaced sometime in the last 10 years that were replaced with non-purple lids, but it's a fair point, Keith. But our entire irrigation system should be purple lid because of it was all piped in, available for non-potable water once the town could actually deliver that to our neighborhood.
So, Director Mom, the town is working on a reuse plan, and you're already plumbed to be able to connect to that once they have it in place. Do I hear that right?
It was at least planned, but I don't know what the status is of the town, but there was a plan for it, but then it stalled out.
Got it. Yeah. So then you want purple on everything out there, because without knowing what the future holds, it makes a lot more sense just to be on that safe side.
The only question I have is the hourly for the labor. The lids are going to take 2 minutes to pop on. The boxes, having to dig them up and replace them, that's going to take quite a bit of time, but that seems a little high to me.
Yeah.
92 hours to replace them, that's a lot.
To dig out the boxes,
Well, they're only digging out 20 of the boxes. And the other reason I'm saying this is I ran
56 boxes
No, the 56 are just the box.
is the box. The
These
lids
are
is
the
20.
Oh, okay, then I'm reading it wrong. Okay. So the full boxes have to replace, not just the lids.
correct. There are 56 boxes that you can't put lids back on because they're collapsing in. What happens is the weight of the ground around the box collapses the box.
Yeah, I get it. Sorry, I just ran a sprinkler system company. I was like, that is a lot to put lids on. But yep, I read it now.
Fair enough.
What is this in relation to our budget for irrigation repairs for this year? I don't have our budget right for me, unfortunately, but it feels like we didn't.
Let me take a look. Let me open that up. Very good question from you. Okay.
Looks like
$10,000 for
14.
landscape repairs for each district.
So we budgeted. How much? Say that again, Keith. How much?
10,000.
It's 20 then, yeah.
So
Okay.
20 total.
20 total. So that would leave us with about 6,000 for the rest of 2026.
Well, you're actually looking, if I may, you have an irrigation repair line item of 28,000. So this would be something you would put out of that irrigation repair line item. And that would
the wrong
leave
one.
you,
Sorry, Dave.
no problem, sir, but that would leave you about 14,000 for the rest of the irrigation repairs. I'm not an advocate or a proponent of ever putting irrigation repairs as a separate line item because you just can't. It's like SO taxes. You can't actually guess what that's going to be, and you're not going to not repair sprinkler heads or a broken pipe if it comes up. My guess is you've over budgeted this year for what will end up being the irrigation repairs just because you were including what you had in the carriage homes last year, and that was a very expensive irrigation area.
Okay, so
And
in
it's
the
not
budget
like we
piece,
can put it off. Like that's something that has to be done. If any of that wiring or any of that stuff gets damaged, it's gonna cost us a lot more to repair. So it's kind of not something that we really have a big choice about. So I'll put a motion in to approve.
Thank you, Director Baca. Is there a second from District 1, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Cowers. Are there any opposed in District 1? District number 2, is there a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Gonzalez, and a second, please.
A second.
Thank you, Director Matches. Any opposed in District number 2? Here's the best part of the evening. Legal matters. Joan, you're up first. Joan's on mute, and perhaps with her camera off, she had to step away for a moment. Directors in District number 2, this item is to ratify the engagement of the special counsel for the filing 16 auto court tracks. Counsel has been engaged. This is simply a ratification. If there's a motion and a second for that, please.
So moved.
Thank you, sir. And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any opposed? District number 2 directors still, we're going to discuss the update to the request to the town to impose the townhome maintenance fee. What I'd ask is we defer until Joan is able to come back on and move down to letter C. Letter C is a Haley item. Oh, Joan, are you back?
Oh, no, that was me, Dave Healy.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Please, Haley, I turn it over to you for letter C, please.
Yeah, I'm happy to start the conversation on this. I think what really we were talking about here was having a designated person be the bridge of communication between the board and the community. Typically that would be district management. But of course the board can appoint someone else or have a discussion about another person who that could be. So I'll start with that and then I guess leave open to the board. I know, Josh, this was one of your items, so if you want to speak on it.
Yeah, this was on my priorities list, but it wasn't one of the items that I had put on there. But I think the idea was, identify if there's a need to have a board member kind of play point on this. And I think it's a good discussion to have, although my personal opinion is that anytime there's a need for a communication, it's fair game to hit up David and team to make sure that that gets communicated out to the residents. There's also, we'll get to this later in the discussion, in a later item on here around director safeguards. This is also addressed in that, although I don't know that we're going to be able to take action on that tonight. So anyway, it's just if the board has a prerogative to have somebody be the point person on district communications, we can have a discussion. If not, I don't think there's any need for us to take action tonight. But
my only thought would be official communications comes through management company, but do we want to have anything about unofficial communications? And I know I'm guilty of this, of trying to inform the community, but at the same time, I know my statements sometimes get misunderstood as being the word of the board. So, like, I'm down to take in any recommendations on, like, are we okay as a board of having those official channels to update the community, or do we want to stop that? Kind of like even today where we posted, hey, just a reminder, here's the meeting.
I don't find anything inappropriate about that. especially being updates, I think there's probably a discussion to be had on whether or not we should adopt some policy on whether or not there's an obligation to disclaim that it's a district communication. When Jennifer Carroll was mayor, I remember, she always offered up here's my perspectives on this upcoming meeting, and then always closed her email with, these are my own personal thoughts and not that of the town council. And I always thought that was kind of a helpful reminder, but.
Yeah, I agree. I think we talked about this a little bit in relation to Facebook posts, but if you're not speaking officially on behalf of the board, there should be a little disclaimer saying, this is, in my personal capacity. What comes with that is because you're a board member, sometimes even if you do say that, it's still, it's just human nature. You're a board member, you're on the board, people are gonna take your opinion as that of the board's, but the disclaimer is definitely helpful.
So I don't hear much discussion on this as a need to take this up, David.
Fair enough, sir. Joan, while your camera was off, we skipped over B. Would you like to come back up for the discussion on the update to the request of the town to impose the town hall maintenance fees in filing 18, please?
Sure. So there is a dispute between the town and Trumark about the proposed maintenance fee for the carriage homes, or not the carriage homes, the townhomes. And I asked to be removed as the point person on that because it's really not the district's request. It's Trumark's request. They're setting up this community, and there's common maintenance that is specific to that filing, just like with carriage homes. So as a quick recap, a capital reserve study was prepared along with the monthly maintenance fee for snow removal and things like that. And the capital maintenance reserve has a built-in cost of living increase. The portion that is the operations, the ongoing operations and maintenance piece does not. And the town is pushing back from allowing any increase in the monthly maintenance fee. Which is a little ridiculous. I mean, 15 years from now, you wouldn't expect the maintenance fee to be the same as it is today. We've just had a really hard time getting the town to engage. And there was some email communication today for the first time in weeks, where the town basically said, no, we're not going to allow a cost of living increase. So Chad Rodriguez is carrying the ball on behalf of Trumark and working with the town. I guess that's all I'm going to say on that. We are not spending district money on that. It's really Trumark and their development and how they want it to be maintained in the long run. And the district has made it clear it doesn't want to find itself in a position anything similar to the carriage house situation. And, Trumark is being very upfront. The town is just incredibly difficult to work with. So I had a conversation with Chad Rodriguez and IDES Adam a couple weeks ago and asked Chad, if you need this, you have to take it on and work with the town. And he agreed that was their responsibility and he would do it. So I'm not really planning on having another update until the parties agree that whatever they're proposing is a feasible, sustainable fee. to cover both long-term capital maintenance and replacement, as well as like the monthly costs. So that's where we're at on that one.
Thank you, Joan. And Joan, I will note that the board did ratify the engagement of special counsel too. So we're able to move on to letter D under legal matters. Haley, since you were the one, I believe, who prepared initially that first amendment to the service facility fee resolution, the board has had that. They've had a week to review that. If you could provide just a brief overview, and before doing so, I will point out to you that one of the directors with a very sharp eye caught that under recital letter D, you have the year 2205 as the date. And while we all like to think we can see into the future, that's just a little beyond our ability.
Yes, thank you for catching that. I have fixed it, and for the execution copy, it will be 2025. So the resolution was amended. So this resolution was originally approved in June of 2025 to approve the service and facility fee. And right now it's just amended to show the increased fee that was approved at the budget hearing. So that it's the same recitals, and then the exhibit has the new amount of the fee.
Directors, if there are any questions, now's oh, I'm sorry, Joan.
That's okay. It also includes a procedure for payment and late fees.
Yes, thank you.
So directors, if there are no questions, Directors District 1, a motion and a second then to adopt that resolution, please.
So moved.
Thank you, sir. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Director Baca, was that you on the second, or was that was Director Cowers? I see now. Thank you. District number 1, are there any opposed? District number 2, is there a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Gonzalez, and a second then.
I'll second, Andy.
Thank you, Director Matches. Are there any opposed? Let's move on to E then. Haley, I believe that you also took the lead on this, correct?
Yep. So this is the amended and restated resolution creating committees. We already discussed the addition of the budget committee. So that's now in the resolution. And then the other changes that we made was changing the composition of the committees that are currently in place. So we changed the composition of the landscape committee and the pool and clubhouse committee to reflect the what's happening in practice with the number of board members and the number of members of the public. I think that's all we changed, Joan, unless I'm forgetting something.
No, I think that was it. And yeah, just the addition of the budget committee.
Yep.
District number 1, is there a motion and a second to adopt that resolution, please?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any opposed? District number 2, is there a motion and a second from you?
So moved.
Thank you, sir. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any opposed? We are on to letter F, and letter F was amended earlier in the meeting to have this apply for both District 1 and 2, and it's a discussion of legal advice for Director Safeguards. Haley, I believe you'll take the lead on that discussion.
Yes, so Jeff and I came up with the idea of drafting director bylaws to kind of achieve this goal of director safeguards. So we did work with Josh and get a draft of bylaws, and basically what these cover are behavioral expectations, being prepared for meetings, meeting attendance, and then procedures that directors are encouraged and supposed to follow for board meetings. There's also an enforcement procedure in them, which is public censure, which is really just a public acknowledgement by the board and expression of disapproval for a director's behavior. you can't remove a board member through this process. As this district knows, that process is the recall election. And there are some things by statute of when a board member would be removed, and that's really related to a board member not attending 3 regular meetings and not being excused, so in a row. So we would be happy to distribute these to all the board members. Management and D2 council have seen them, the bylaws, and they're still kind of in draft form, but before we added to the packet and got a motion on it, we wanted to make sure everyone had seen it first, meeting management and legal counsel. So if the board wants to move forward with this, we can get the draft sent to all the board members for comments, and then kind of try and come up with a final copy for approval or consideration at the next board meeting.
I think that works, Haley. I did not realize that this was not included in the board packet, so I agree that there's not much discussion we need to have on this tonight. Like Haley mentioned, I did review this, and I do think there's some reasonable things included in here. I think, Haley, one item that we might want to add in there is, some duty to disclaim on like Facebook communications.
Yeah.
That you're not speaking on behalf of the district. I think there's elements of that already in this, but let's distribute it, get feedback, and then be in a place for kind of action at the next meeting to either vote up, vote down.
Yeah.
And I just want to weigh in on this. I think you are all elected public officials, and there are statutory guidelines for your ethical and official behavior, as well as the duties that you're required to fulfill are outlined by statute. Granted, it's pretty broad, but there are really no teeth to bylaws. It's just one more thing for the directors to have to pay attention to. And I know in HOAs, bylaws carry a lot of weight, but that I don't think they're very useful for district boards. If your community chooses to elect someone who is disruptive, who behaves in the manner a former District 1 board member did, there's really not a lot you can do about that. And you set the expectations as a board as to how you behave and how you treat each other. And someone coming on is either going to agree with that or not. And they're elected officials, so there's a lot of pressure you can put on them, as you've seen, and work pretty well. But bylaws have no teeth. No, they really don't matter at all. It's following the statutes and adhering to the tone that the district sets. The only way to remove a director is by recall, or if they choose to resign or not attend 3 meetings in a row that are unexcused. Other than that, you're stuck with them. So that's just my professional opinion. And also, I've seen bylaws that basically outline the statutes, which I just find a little ridiculous. Don't call them bylaws, just call them, you have your SDA board member manual, which covers everything, and it's actually updated every year. So I've picked up districts where the bylaws are 20 years old and they are so out of date with statutory compliance. It's ridiculous. That's just my impression of my opinion of district bylaws. Okay, next topic.
Well, yep. Next on the agenda, directors, unless there's an objection, I'll record in the minutes that you acknowledged you understand that First Bank has been acquired by PNC Financial Group. First Bank is the district's current banking provider, and so that's going to just change on the account statements to PNC Financial. If there's a reason you don't want to acknowledge that, please let me know. Next,
I was at the bank
yes,
today.
sir. I'm sorry.
I was at First Bank today on another issue. And they said account numbers may change. There may be some changes other than just physical name.
That's the first I've heard, Director Matches. They've told us that account numbers shouldn't be changing, but if they do, we'll certainly get notification of that and update the records too. I'm sorry to hear that because that always messes up things.
Yeah.
We'll have to go into bill.com and make updates, and
we'll find out. I've been through other banks when they've been acquired by other banks, and sometimes it's a nightmare.
Yes.
Is there any fee structure changes that have been talked about that we should be aware of?
We've been told everything remains exactly as it is. There'll be no changes at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Directors, the next item on the agenda, ironically at the very end of the agenda, and here we are at 8:20. And unfortunately, this was added to the agenda by Director Luganville, who's the only one who's not here to discuss it this evening. But he asked that we include an agenda item to discuss meeting efficiency and time management for board meetings. I'll give you my 2 cents. Your consultants can definitely get you through meetings quickly, and I think we're finally to a point where a lot of the extraneous things from the last year that delayed meetings are now far enough behind us. I do believe we should start seeing meetings decrease in length pretty substantially moving forward. Joan Haley, if you disagree with that, please chime in. And directors, if you have any discussion you'd like to have on this, ideas to improve meeting efficiency and time management, now's the time to discuss that as well.
I had a lengthy discussion with Director Luganville on this, and I think the main item that he was proposing was to place a consent agenda item onto the agendas where a lot of routine matters, for example, things like approval of the financial statements and, ratification of payments and, routine contracts be placed onto a consent agenda. That always gives the board an option at the beginning of the meeting to pull those off the consent agenda and pull them into the regular meeting and have discussion about them. But that way, if there's things to be covered in the meeting that don't need discussion in the meeting, they're just knocked off in one fell swoop at the beginning of the meeting and allows us to focus on, the bigger items. And I tend to be in favor of that. I also think that helps. It puts a duty on directors to review the consent agenda very carefully in advance of the meeting. And I think that can also kind of have tag-on effects to having people very prepared for meetings to move the agenda items along quicker.
We did consent agendas, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, with our previous legal team, correct? When we were still
I believe Jennifer Ivey did. Those were almost everything was on the consent agenda because
valid.
No wood employee was ever going to
Spend
go
time.
against. Exactly. But, and that's the thing. I've seen this done very effectively at the town of Erie meetings where, if somebody wants to pull something out the consent agenda, man, it flies right off of there and goes into the regular meeting, and that's fine. That's a totally valid way to deal with that. But anyway, that was the main idea as far as efficiency.
I would agree with you and Barry on that piece. It definitely feels like minute approval, the ratification of the claims, things like that could very easily be moved to consent agenda and save us a little bit of time on that piece. But I'll leave it to the consultants and kind of D2 as well and how they feel about it.
I think there's also like a two-step process here. If we're receiving meeting agendas a week in advance and we see a bunch of stuff on the consent agenda we don't want on there, fine, move it off then. And then there's a second opportunity at the beginning of the meeting to do so as well.
Yeah, I love consent agendas, and I'm sure Joan and Jeff and Haley do as well. So we're happy to throw everything that could reasonably be included without risk of it being pulled off in there. And if during your review you see additional things you think we should move into there, or you know things that should be pulled out of there, we can catch it then before we even come into the meeting. So I think that's a fine idea, and we'll implement that for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on meeting efficiency and time management before we get into our final item of the evening? Directors for District Number 1, I would ask if you would like to adjourn your meeting and just have District 2 continue in its meeting, since we have an executive session for District 2. There's really not, unless you'd like to, a reason to stick around. But certainly up to you if you'd like to do so. If I lose a quorum, though, I'd rather be able just to call that meeting over for District Number 1 here at 8:25, unless you tell me otherwise.
Motion to adjourn for D1.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you very much. District 1, you are adjourned. District Number 2. Joan, would you like to explain the situation for executive session? Then what I'll do is create a breakout room and bring you and the District 2 directors into that breakout room, if that works for you.
It will. We don't expect District 2 to take any action when the executive session is over, so I don't see any reason for any members of the public to stay on the call. So we need a motion passed by the 2/3 of the board to go into executive session pursuant to section 246402(4)B for the purpose of receiving legal advice on legal questions related to filing 16 of the auto court access tracks. Is the director making that motion?
I'll do it.
I have Director Matches followed by Director Hobbs on the second. Are there any directors who are opposed to that? Fair enough. That I will open the room. You should all receive a notice to go into that room.